let's just get into it. What did you make of the Doncic trade?
I don't know, like everybody else, ludicrous. I just don't understand. I think it's malpractice from a GM to not try to get the best deal out there. I don't care if you think Anthony Davis is the best player you could have gotten. You have to at least call every other team in the league and go, what are you offering? Like, to not do that, I mean, it is just I would say it's not a fireable offense yet, but eventually it could be.
You had Chris Mannix. We had Chris Mannix on and said basically he knew of 5 or 6 teams that were willing to gut their roster and send 4 or 5 first-round draft picks for Luka Doncic.
Look at what Phoenix gave up for Kevin Durant. Look at what Brooklyn got for Mikal Bridges. Like, these are players that aren't, and no disrespect, like KD is obviously a huge name and everything and still very, very good. Like, Luka's 25. And I don't care, like, what you think about his long-term potential as conditioning and all that. You still have to check what's out there. And then, there's reports out there, and of course you never know what to trust, but like, let's say that the Lakers were at least willing to offer even more, better players, more picks, whatever the case may be, and then to still get talked down somehow blows my mind. So, like, the only way he is validated is if they win a championship, and then you can sort of explain it away and say, well, whatever, we wanted one, and we knew like he wasn't going to be great long term. But a decade from now, when Luka is still on the Lakers and still doing amazing things, I don't know. Like, it blows my mind. Look at Nico Harrison's track record. Traded KP for not a lot, Spencer Dinwiddie and Davis Bertans. Let Jalen Brunson walk. Traded for Grant Williams.
But that was more of a locker room thing. That was just because he was a good guy
He
in the room.
lasted 3 months.
But in those 3 months, he improved just the atmosphere of that place immeasurably.
You can see Kyrie, like, the steam coming out of his ears every time Grant was yapping on the bench.
Yeah, the best is when people would try to go, no, it's all nonsense. Everyone likes Grant Williams. And then we would have Gorman on, and Gorman would be like, no.
We talked to Tatum and Brown at Media Day. They told us that.
No, but Gorman would be like, no, that's nonsense. He's really annoying. While he was on the team, he was like, he's super annoying.
Do you remember they mic'd up Grant Williams, not for the last 2 NBA finals ago, and Grant Williams is running around telling people he lived in, and everybody ignored him.
Yeah.
Everybody ignored him. It's like, Grant, just fine.
Yeah, he's a lot.
Right. And then I'll preface everything with, like, really nice human being. He's like, and I'm probably guilty of this too. I talk a lot. People are probably like, Jesus, will this kid just shut up? I think there was a lot of that with Grant.
Well, you can be a good person and be annoying.
Right, of course. 100%.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that by saying someone's annoying, that's saying that they have bad character. It's just they're annoying. And it is what it is, and that's not someone you want to travel with and someone you want to be around on a daily basis. All right. Okay, so here's the deal. Do you think there's any chance there's something going on with Luka Doncic that we don't know?
Absolutely. Like, I don't think you get to a point without there being something, again, behind the scenes where you're just like, we're done with this. And so maybe more news will come out. We'll see how guarded they are with, like, really kind of pulling back the curtain. It still doesn't excuse away what they did, right? Like, you still have to, if you're a general manager. Danny Ainge used to say all the time, anytime, like, you even think Kevin Durant might be available or LeBron James, you call. You're not going to get them, but, like, you have to at least make the call.
Yes.
And so, like, even if you think, oh God, this guy has a problem or whatever the case may be, like, just whatever the issue, you have to at least call every other team. You might have to say, hey, look, we're worried about X, but we need to move off of this. This is, like, for the culture of our program, for where we want to go. Some of it is he got exposed in the playoffs last year by Boston, and yet, I don't know. It still would not explain away what occurred.
Okay, so this trade, I'm fascinated by it because it's just so universally. Like, there's not one person that thinks this is a good trade, which is extremely rare. That, usually there's, like, at least another side to it. I mean, people are saying this is the worst trade in, like, sports history. This is interesting.
You have people who try very, very hard to get on the Dallas side of things, like Perkins and Eddie House on the NBC.
And I get what they're saying. Like, short term, it could be better. Like, the Lakers aren't going anywhere this year. And maybe the Mavs make another Western Conference Finals. Like, it's not out of the realm. It's just what is your window with a 32-year-old center and no draft capital? It's just, I don't know.
Okay, so my So I'm just trying to think of a reason why he would do it and why he would do it the way he did it. What if Luka has something going on and they didn't want to make it public, or they didn't want to get into it and they didn't? Chris, I'm just trying to think of
I'm
why.
with you, and that's
and so why would he only talk to? Again, I don't do this with most things, but this is really interesting. So he's like, I got a relationship with Rob Pelinka. There's something going on with Luka that if it gets out, it's bad for us, it's bad for him, and it's bad for his value. Like, if I do this with Pelinka, we're friends. He's known this during this whole process, what's been going on. I'm going to keep it between us. And then Pelinka's like, look, dude, I got a team to run. Like, this is a great trade for me. I understand that, but I'm not going to – I know you're in a position of desperation. I'm not going to give you a bunch of first-round picks for him.
Don't you think in that instance, though, then Luka comes out and says, like, hey, I really want to thank the Mavs for everything? Like,
no, because he's 25 and entitled, and that's not the way that he operates.
If I just fear, like, if you think someone's going to expose your dirty laundry at some point, like, you probably kill them with kindness. And regardless if you're stung by the move, I think you just protect your butt a little bit.
That's a good point.
But it's easier to say that when you're not 25 and in the
100%.
middle
And like,
of it.
look, and part of why Luke is great is probably because he's like irrational. Like every superstar is irrationally confident, irrationally like unaware of their shortcomings, and so I think that's part of it. But
especially basketball, where you're rewarded at a very young age. Where shoe companies are in your pocket.
Yep.
I mean, but
and there's no doubt as to your contributions and your value on the court. You're out there for 35, 40 minutes a night, and you see teams win when you play and lose when you don't.
And he probably sits there and doesn't even realize how bad defensively he was in the playoffs last year, and doesn't understand the limitations he does put on a championship caliber team. So, like, I get all that. But my question is, like, 5 years from, not even 5 years from now, let's say, like, 3 years from now. So AD gets hurt, misses, like, a season, whatever. It ends badly in Dallas. Nico Harrison is eventually fired, which will happen regardless of whether they win a title, whatever. Everyone meets an expiration. Does he end up on the Lakers payroll at some point? Like, he's got a relationship with Pelinka. Like, your next job, you need somebody. Like, I'm just saying. Like, I wonder. I don't think that's what is happening here. I don't think the league. Like, I've heard all the conspiracy theories. I just think, maybe you make a move and you go, well, things go bad. I got a fallback plan with my buddy.
What
Rob.
about the tariff conspiracy theory that the Mavs owner, big contributor to the campaign, taking a lot of heat for these tariffs? The president calls her up, says, "Hey, will you do something absolutely bananas to take the heat off me in these tariffs?"
Well, I haven't heard that. So the owner of the Mavericks is a big Trump supporter, and the conspiracy theory is that since the market was panicking over the tariffs, that he had asked this is funny. So he had asked the owner of the Mavericks to do something outrageous to get the heat off of him.
My more favorite one is that, so the family that now owns the Mavericks, their background is in gambling. They don't think sports gambling is going to pass in Texas, and that they are somehow now angling to burn their bridge so bad in Texas they can eventually move the team to Las Vegas instead of like the expansion.
That's what Mannix said yesterday.
There are essays written about that so far. I mean, like that. Now the tariff thing is absolutely bonkers.
I mean, can we rule anything out in this world anymore?
That one I can't.
No one can.
Yes.
No one. Listen, I hear Aaron Rodgers with a lot of theories and a lot of things.
But this one has like real people with real thoughts on the subject saying, oh, no, just because it's, what is Dallas, fourth biggest market?
Yes.
Media market?
Yes.
Yeah, it's a huge market. And they're like, no, we're going to burn our bridges here. We're going to tank this thing so that we can move to and build a casino, hotel, arena, and be the basketball team that sets up camp in Las Vegas.
But they offered $2,000 refunds to people that were canceling their season tickets. So they did like a gesture to the fans.
Yeah. If you're really trying to
piss everyone off, you would just be like, you double freedom rocket them.
Yeah.
But the team did, and I thought it was odd.
This is like yesterday.
Yeah, yesterday
it's
they
amazing.
offered a $2,000 like refund if you canceled your tickets.
Exactly.
The one thing, like, to bring it back to like a Boston thing that is like kind of scary is, okay, so Celtics are about to get new ownership too. New ownership does wacky things sometimes, And it's just something you have to have your antenna up for.
It's a little different though here.
100%, and
a little bit different. When the new owner comes in, it's not like the new owner is dealing with a massive overage. They're dealing with massive losses if they don't make a deal like that.
Right.
So it's different than in Dallas. Way different.
It is, but like you get to see, like Mark Cuban would have never made that move, right?
Never,
no matter probably the pressure. Like he would just deal with the pressure. He loved Luka. And so you bring out outsiders who don't have quite the attachment, and so it's just something I'm watching. I'm just saying.
Okay, so if a Celtic owner came in and he says, "Look, we're losing money, and these salaries are out of control," what's the end game? Like what?
Right.
What could someone do that you think would be like super disruptive?
I'm even just as simple as trading Jalen Brown if Jalen Brown didn't want to be traded.
There are conspiracy theories out there already. I mean, I heard one in the spring. As soon as Wick put the team up for sale, trade Jalen Brown to whoever gets the first pick so you could draft Cooper Flagg. That was out there.
Do you think that you could get things under control from a financial standpoint without trading Jalen Brown?
Yeah, look, it might not be super super agreeable, but like you can move. And unfortunately, all the pieces you brought in, Drew, KP, like thin the bench a little bit, go younger there. You can still have Jason and Jalen. The J era can persist. You're just not going to have the talent necessarily around them. And that's
inevitable.
Right. They've got tough decisions regardless of what's happening.
Right.
But it's just, I think there are some owners that are going to be willing to pay, especially if you're competitive to the finish line of this year, to keep much of this core together. And there could be owners that come in and just go, we just paid $6 billion. We don't have a stadium. We want to just get the money right here. Clear this thing out, get below the tax so we're not repeater penalty down the road. Like again, so these are just like little things to I would say if you're a Celtic fan, don't even worry about it right now because it's just like you got to be so fixed on what's happening in the moment. But hovering above everything is some uncertainty.
You have to admit that even though it would be terrible on the court, or probably not the greatest on the court, I should say, the notion of trading Jalen Brown for the number 1 overall pick and taking Cooper Flagg is interesting.
Yes.
I mean, it would be certainly interesting.
It was a fascinating discussion at the time. Everyone's like, "Oh, you can't do that. You can't do that."
I mean, you could.
A new owner, if presented with that, I think takes a hard look at it.
And then he goes to kids from Maine, like
Yes.
he's a kid. He's from around here. He's got all this hype around him. Like people will get used to it. That's it. Maybe he's better than Jalen Brown.
Hey, the Wizards are stupid enough to do that.
As we've just learned, I think the main thing, the big takeaway from this process is that it's so frustrating. It's like we mocked that caller who called in last week, and I was like, oh, well, they would never make that Jalen Brown trade. Now I can't make fun of people's trades anymore because there's always a GM out there stupid enough to make a bad trade.
Well, there's a lot of people that wanted Jalen Brown for what's his face?
Jimmy Butler, Kawhi Leonard, through the years, like Chris Dunn instead of Jalen Brown.
For this particular return. I mean, there was people that wanted that.
That's why Brad Stevens is good at his job, and other people are not running the Celtics.
Yeah, it's interesting. All right, well, look, Chris Forsberg is kind enough to be in studio with us.
If you like that clip, check out more videos from Toucher and Hardy here. For more Celtics analysis and opinion, hit this playlist. And for all the latest from the Sports Hub, download the app at 985thesportshub.com.